Good morning, everyone. Your morning weather briefing for this June 25th finds that there are no major changes in the forecast versus what I presented yesterday morning. Temperature and rainfall outlooks this morning, still some mild temperatures in the near term for the Corn Belt, but certainly things would be warming back to above normal levels for later on this week, with a fair amount of heat going to be seen during especially the 6 to 10 day time frame, probably the peak of the heat. Going to be coming up for, especially around the June 30th through the July 2nd time frame. Still going to be some rainfall in the forecast for the 6 to 10 day period. I have trended my 11 to 15 day precipitation forecast a little bit wetter this morning, but overall rainfall forecast details for the 11 to 15 day period certainly still very much lacking. QPF discussion looking at the 1 to 3 day time frame, and no major disagreements with this forecast. Upper level low pressure system going to be spinning its way eastward through the middle of the country during this time frame, producing widespread rainfall in the Corn Belt region. The bulk of the rainfall shown in this map for the next 2 days, which is far eastern portions of the Corn Belt, seeing limited rains for Wednesday. Going to be seeing welcome drying during this time frame for the Southern Plains hardbred winter wheat belt. For the day 4 to 5 and day 6 to 7 time frames, that is where we're going to be seeing some ring of fire activity starting to develop in the Corn Belt. Would not be surprising to see rainfall be a little bit more significant for a portion of the Corn Belt for the day 4 to 5 time frame. That would be especially the case for Wednesday night through a portion of Thursday. Not saying that coverage would be all that great, but I think that there can be some localized amounts that'll be quite a bit more significant than the map suggests, especially for Iowa and nearby areas. Would not be surprising at all to see some localized significant rains in those areas again for especially Wednesday night and into a portion of Thursday. Otherwise, the main rainfall threat for especially late in that 4 to 5 day time frame just in the northern plains and far northwestern Corn Belt, and then a bigger portion of the western and northwestern Corn Belt getting in on ring of fire activity during the 6 to 7 time frame. Would not be surprising at all to see rainfall amounts in the western and northwestern Corn Belt be even bigger than that map would suggest. Afternoon high temperatures for your Sunday, and nothing real notable as far as heat is concerned for a big portion of the country. Any real notable extreme heat just in extreme southern portions of the southern plains. Rainfall during the last 18 hours through 1 o'clock this morning. Locally heavy rains seen across portions of the northwestern Corn Belt. Certainly any of those bigger rainfall amounts in the northwestern Corn Belt very much unwanted. Certainly did see a lot of additional flash flood warnings being issued for that area. Very notable as well during the last 24 hours, or really for the weekend period as a whole, has been some very heavy rainfall amounts that have been seen across a good portion of the hardbred winter wheat belt. Looking at radar estimated rainfall for the past 3 days, there you can see the unwanted rains during the weekend period across the northwestern Corn Belt. A lot of that occurring during the last 24 hours, and then of course the very big rains, heavy flooding type rains that have occurred during the last 3 days across a very big portion of the hardbred winter wheat belt. Radar estimating that there have been rains of more than 6 inches across portion of Oklahoma, and we can verify that by looking at rainfall totals from the Oklahoma Mesonet. This is a map showing 3-day rainfall totals, and you can indeed see some localized amounts there, more than 5 inches, and even one spot there that I just circled, seeing more than 7 inches of rainfall during the last 3 days. Of course, all of that rainfall, not real good news for a winter wheat crop that is in the midst of being harvested at this time. Early morning radar shows that rains are finally moving out of the hardwood winter wheat belt this morning. You can once again see quite a spin to the rains on the radar this morning, indicative of an upper level low pressure system that is located this morning in central portions of the Plain States. And there it is on the map this morning, basically exactly where I circled that map. That is where your upper level low pressure system is located as of 7 o'clock this morning, and it is going to be a system spinning its way eastward that is going to be producing widespread rainfall across the Corn Belt, especially for today and tomorrow, before rains finishing up in the far eastern Corn Belt on Wednesday. Looks like fairly widespread coverage of half to inch and a half rainfall amounts during the next 3 days across the Corn Belt, but there will be localized areas seeing rainfall amounts of 2 inches or even more than that. Then as we get towards Wednesday night through the end of the 6 to 10 day time frame, that is when ring of fire activity is going to be being seen once again across the Corn Belt. Looking at surface features as of 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, as usual, it doesn't look like much in the maps, but you can see some hints by the European model, by the GFS model, by the European ensemble that there would be ring of fire activity developing in portions of the western and northwestern half of the Corn Belt as we get towards late Wednesday night into the early morning hours on Thursday. Again, emphasizing that it doesn't look like much on the maps per se, but it is a situation that we can see rainfall activity like this turn out to be a lot more significant than the maps suggest. I don't think that it's anything widespread as far as coverage is concerned, but would not be surprising at all to see, especially in Iowa and nearby areas, some localized areas of significant rainfall for late Wednesday night and into early Thursday from some ring of fire activity. Then as we get towards Friday morning, could again see something similar in far eastern and far northeastern portions of the Corn Belt for Friday morning, but more than likely the more intense and more significant areas of ring of fire activity by the time we get to Friday morning is going to be in northwestern portions, far northwestern portions of the Corn Belt, and especially into the northern plains. And we will be seeing that activity slowly encompassing more of the western and northwestern Corn Belt as we head in towards the weekend, and that will be especially the case as we start to see an actual cool front moving into that area as well. You can see that those rains in very good agreement by all of the models this morning, and likely be a situation where that rain is fairly significant in nature for western and northwestern portions of the Corn Belt. As far as your temperature forecast is concerned, still some mild or even cool temperatures for another 2 to 3 days across the Corn Belt. These are your temperature anomalies for this Monday, indicating that a lot of the Corn Belt and the Plain States looking at near or below normal temperatures, especially cool across the Plain States and into the western Corn Belt, where there will be areas seeing temperatures averaging 10 to 15 degrees below normal. Started to see some warmth returning to southern portion of the Corn Belt on Wednesday, and then above normal temperatures across the entire Corn Belt by the time we get to Thursday, and quite a bit of warmth in the forecast for the remainder of the 2-week time frame. Looking at your temperature anomalies for Friday, you can see that the European model is suggesting fairly large area of the Corn Belt looking at temperatures that day running 10 to as much as 15 or more degrees above normal. That warmth will tend to impacting more central and especially eastern portions of the region for the weekend period, and it is probably going to be Friday and into the weekend period that is overall the very warmest part of the 2-week time frame, a time frame when especially eastern portions of the Corn Belt will see temperatures running 10 to as much as 15 degrees above normal. When you're talking about that type of warmth in the summertime, you're going to be talking about 90 plus degree heat, probably seeing 90 plus degree temperatures in far southwestern portions of the Corn Belt by the time we get to Wednesday, about the southwestern half to as much as 2/3 of the Corn Belt, then in 90 plus degree heat by the time we get to Thursday, and then 90 degree temperatures across a big portion of the Corn Belt for Friday, before only western and northwestern areas do not see 90 plus degree heat for the weekend period. Certainly will be a case where we have some 95 plus degree temperatures during that time frame. Still of the belief though that the green landscape of the Corn Belt and the fact that soil moisture levels will be quite high across the Corn Belt, in my mind makes me believe that we will not be seeing a whole lot in the way of upper 90s and low 100 degree heat at any point during the 2-week time frame as we start to warm up temperatures again. I still believe that your biggest departures from normal are going to be more with regards to overnight lows than with regards to daytime highs. Looking at low temperatures for this Friday morning, you can see that most of the Corn Belt by that time is looking at low temperatures staying well above the 70 degree mark, and you can see areas of the far southwestern Corn Belt that actually are forecast to see high temperatures on Friday morning not getting below the 80 degree mark. That is extreme as far as low temperatures are concerned, even for that time of year. So certainly above normal temperatures in the forecast starting around Wednesday or Thursday of this week, and continuing for really the rest of the 2-week forecast across a big portion of the Corn Belt, but especially as you go further eastward, certainly going to be seeing 90 plus degree temperatures becoming rather common during that time frame. Not looking for a lot in the way of extreme heat as far as daytime highs. Do believe that is much more of a situation where we are looking at extreme heat in the way of nighttime lows. Lots of 70 plus degree low temperatures across the region for later on this week through a big portion of the end of the 2-week time frame. Certainly will be days in which portions of the Corn Belt find their low temperatures struggling to get below the 80 degree level. Why is it going to be getting warm? Well, obviously, the situation where we are looking at a pretty major ridge or dome of high pressure that is going to be forming. Looking at 500 millibars as of 7 o'clock in the morning for this coming Sunday, you can see that a ridge or dome of high pressure has taken shape over eastern portions of the nation by that time. Very, very impressive. Note the 594 contour at that time over eastern and northeastern portions of the nation by the European model. When you compare, though, where that ridge is located at that time as of 7 o'clock in the morning on July 1st, and then note where it is located by 7 o'clock in the evening on July 9th, you can see that the weather maps are continuing to indicate that the ridge of high pressure or the dome of high pressure is going to be retrograding or moving westward in time throughout the first week to 10 days of the month of July. You can see that above normal heights are still dominating the weather forecast at that time across a big portion of the nation, so that is clearly still not anywhere close to a cool weather pattern, and above normal temperatures would still be seen across a big portion of the nation at that time. I would think, though, that the rainfall chances would not be shut off, though, with that type of a weather pattern, as we see the ridge or dome of high pressure retrograde from eastern portion of the nation to more western and southwestern portion of the nation during the first week to 10 days of July. You can see that to some degree we're looking at a bit of a northwest flow aloft. We would probably be seeing disturbances moving up and over top of the ridge or dome of high pressure in southwestern portion of the nation that would probably still be keeping rainfall chances of some sort into the Corn Belt at that time. Again, emphasizing that my confidence in forecast details of the rainfall situation in the 11 to 15 day time frame is not high, but at this point I still cannot go for anything close to completely dry weather during that time frame, given the possibility that we would be seeing a northwest flow aloft, and that's a northwest flow aloft that many times during the summertime period can produce more rains than the models would initially suggest. Internationally for this morning over in Europe, still below normal rainfall for a lot of Europe during the next 2-week time frame. Not going to be the case, though, in eastern areas where they are looking at near to above normal rainfall. A good portion of that rainfall coming during this 1 to 5 day time frame for southern Poland and areas to the south of there. Western Germany, France, and England looking at completely dry weather for this week, but rains will be returning to that area during the second week of the 2-week time frame. Over in the former Soviet Union, you can still see that some rain has been added to the forecast there. Certainly a wetter forecast there than what we have seen for a lot of the last few months or so. A decent portion of that rainfall going to be occurring during the especially the 6 to 10 day time frame. Any rainfall for the 1 to 5 day period is still going to be confined to mainly western portions of Ukraine. And then as we get towards the 6 to 10 day period, eastern portions of Ukraine into central district and into portions of the Volga district are looking at fairly significant rainfall. Again, that would be mainly in the 6 to 10 day time frame, when a decent portion of that area would be seeing some half to inch and a half rainfall amounts. Temperatures running above normal across a lot of the former Soviet Union summer grain areas in the 1 to 5 day time frame. We have seen 90 plus degree heat across eastern Ukraine and areas to the east of there in recent days. There'll be more of that in the 1 to 5 day time frame. Then we are looking at a cooler weather forecast for that area for the 6 to 10 and 11 to 15 day period. For the spring grain areas of the former Soviet Union, really no changes there to their weather pattern. Still looking at fairly substantial rains across most of that area during the next 10 days. The forecast remains exceptionally wet for all corn and soybean areas of China during the next 2 weeks. Very nice rains above normal totals for both Manchuria and for the North China Plain. In fact, for the North China Plain, could be seeing some heavy amounts of rainfall there for especially areas to the south of Shandong, where 10-day rainfall totals could be on the order of as much as 4 to 8 inches. It's a favorable forecast for the Canadian prairies. On and off rainfall chances throughout the 10-day time frame, going to be producing widespread significant amounts of rainfall there during the next 10 days, especially big totals across eastern Saskatchewan and into Manitoba. Still one of the wetter forecasts we have seen in quite some time for wheat areas of Australia. Some of the rain that is shown in the map for both Western Australia and for New South Wales is going to be occurring during the 1 to 5 day time frame, but especially in New South Wales, some of your bigger rainfall totals are going to be occurring there during the 6 to 10 day period. This is 10-day rainfall output from the European operational model. It may be a little bit overdone, but by the end of the 10-day time frame, we are looking at some fairly significant rains, especially for central and northern portions of New South Wales. A lot of that area could be seeing 1 to 2 plus inch rainfall amounts during the next 10 days. A lot of that occurring during the 6 to 10 day period, but at least some of it occurring even during this work week period. Also some rains in the 10-day forecast for western wheat areas of Western Australia. A lot of that rain also occurring during the 6 to 10 day time frame. Looking at 15-day percent of normal rainfall in India, the monsoon looks fairly active for the 1 to 5 day time frame, especially in the north, Rajasthan and the Madhya Pradesh. Will be returning to below normal levels though in the 6 to 10 day time frame, and then maybe somewhat of a recovery of the monsoon for the 11 to 15 day period. That's what I have for your Monday. Everyone have themselves a great day.